Hello everyone, my name is Kevin. I will be doing my refutation speech on Alexa Berrigan's claim of fact. It's going to be on how unhealthy food commercials have a major influence on adolescent obesity. Her secondary claims are unhealthy food commercials encourage adolescents to make unhealthy food choices. The secondary claim would be, moreover, the constant repetition of unhealthy commercials brainwashes the mentality of adolescents and thus convinces them to consume fast and junk food. Her third secondary claim would be, furthermore, commercial television influences the adolescents to consume the advertised fast junk food ultimately purchased by parents. This is my counterclaim based on the evidence she provided for her claim of fact. Genetics load the gun, environment pulls the trigger. Although unhealthy food commercials draw the adolescent's attention, this does not mean that unhealthy food commercials are the major influence or contributor to adolescent obesity. My first counterclaim would be that, based off of her first claim, unhealthy food commercials encourage the adolescents to make unhealthy food choices. Adolescents make unhealthy food choices because it's fast and convenient for some parents, but obesity is driven by age, genetics, environmental factors, physical activity, illness, and medications. According to the article Obesity on WebMD, it is mentioned that adolescents have a fast metabolism, therefore they digest fatty foods faster. It was also stated that genetics had a major impact on childhood obesity. In the article, there was a part that mentions how if a child's biological mother was heavy, it was 75% likely that the child would inherit the heaviness as well. Even if the child's biological mother was thin, it was also 75% likely that the child would inherit or would want to look like its mother. But if an adopted child's mother was heavy, it was less likely that the child would inherit inherit the same traits. Then my second counterclaim would be, being heavy can be hard for children, since it's not just the parents who influence how our children feel about themselves. According to Eating Disorders 411, never underestimate the media's influence on body image. According to body image statistics, weight loss and diets among children, 42% want to be thinner, 50% are dissatisfied with their body size, 81% are afraid of becoming fat, 46% are on diets, and 51% of girls believe they are overweight. The media may advertise many unhealthy food commercials, but it also advertises the ideal body image of an average American. Since children are becoming more self-conscious about their body image, most fast food restaurants began to provide the calorie intake of a meal. According to the New York Times article, Business Days, where McDonald's began to provide the calories on their menu. They also mentioned that this could put pressure on other fast food restaurants to do the same. The company also unveiled several menu additions aimed at making its offering more healthful. They include an egg white McMuffin, the grilled chicken option for a Happy Meal, seasonal fruits and vegetables like blueberries and cucumbers. Since parents are becoming more interested in their children's health, fast food places wanted to provide the healthiest fast food meal. My third counterclaim would be, adolescents make unhealthy food choices based on their demographics, environment, school, neighborhood, and social status. After adults and children were educated on healthy food choices, more programs began to rise and influence the importance of health. An example, according to the Food and Nutrition Services and the United States Department of Agriculture, many people in poverty were eligible for a program, SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP was a benefit that allowed people to buy any kinds of food. Most people would incline towards candy, soft drinks, chips, or anything that can just keep their children quiet. After adults were educated, programs were on the rise on healthy food choices. SNAP made a major change on January 26, 2010, where they listed eligible food items for their programs consisting of bread, cereals, fruits, vegetables, meats, fish, poultry, and dairy products. This goes to show that parents are being educated on what kinds of food children should be consuming. And this is how I would like to prove that obesity is not majorly influenced by unhealthy food commercials, but it is instead based upon adolescence, environment, and genetics. Thank you.
All right. Basically, you set up the structure, and on all of the points, you're presenting counterclaims on reasoning for the most part, challenging the basic premise that the advocate has on those particular points. One of the things that's missing is an analysis of the advocate's evidence on those points, so we can check and see how strongly your arguments compare to the things that the advocate presented on those points. I think that's especially important on the middle point, where you're talking about the influence of the media on kids, and you mention, for instance, the way McDonald's has changed its advertising, or all of the general information about how kids feel about their own bodies. I thought, okay, well, this is pretty important. What was the advocate's evidence on these particular points? And we don't really get anything contrasting to it. You need to simplify the claims also. Sometimes you're presenting it in a much more complicated way than it needs to be. For example, on that point, I think you could argue that it's counterintuitive that the kids are influenced this way when they're also influenced the opposite direction. We've got two competing sets of values that are both being widely spread throughout the culture, and yet they continue to choose one over the other. There's got to be some other reason for that, and I think that that's the way that argument probably needed to develop a little bit more. You have a tendency to kind of look at your own evidence, make the inferences. There were multiple claims on a couple of those points. It just seemed like you had too many things going on at once. Although I thought you had good evidence on your points, and I thought you usually did a good job citing that information, but you do look down and do a lot of reading, and there's not a lot of engagement with the audience, and so I think that hurts your credibility a bit. So the counterclaims that you have are good. The contrast to the advocate's claims needs to be stronger, and you had pretty good evidence on your points. Sometimes you need to simplify the claims. All right, thank you.